Evil Pixel.
Don Diego de la Vega, or Zorro as he is popularly known. Not many of the younger generations know of this fictional character's presence in the literature and movie world, as there hasn't been any major Zorro projects in recent years. The character of Zorro dates all the way back to 1919 and was created by writer Johnson McCulley. He made his first appearance in the novel The Curse of Capistrano in the magazine All Story Weekly. The story quickly became a favorite and shortly after spawned a movie in 1920, The Mark of Zorro. The movie became popular and fans demanded more from the character, which spawned more books, films, plays, and even animated cartoons. And with every popular character, there is of course the inevitable video game adaptation. Now the game we'll be covering in today's video is a very mysterious one, which I guess is well fit for the character that it's based off of. And so in today's video, we'll be discussing the cancelled 1994 game Zorro for the Super Nintendo. Now as I said, information regarding this game's development and even its existence is extremely limited. So much so that it isn't even listed anywhere, like at all. Now the game I'm referring to is the unreleased Zorro game by developer IREM Corporations. The only reason we know of this game's existence is because its gameplay was briefly posted on YouTube on March 21st of 2021 and then immediately removed. Now I want to give a huge shout out to user ShiryuGL for being smart enough to download the video to preserve it, as it's the only known copy of the video I can find online. The gameplay is going to be playing in the background for all to enjoy as I attempt to explain my findings. Now the video was originally uploaded by a Japanese Twitter user going by the name Oyaman. This video gained some quick traction by Super Nintendo enthusiasts such as SNES Central and retweeted it a few times before it was removed. And the information that was discovered is that apparently this Oyaman user is an ex-IREM employee who randomly decided to share the game with others. I can only assume that he realized potential legal trouble and quickly deleted the video. Now the reason why this is relevant is because this game seems to have been developed by IREM, but we'll get into that a little later. Now not only did this user delete the uploaded video, but it seems as though he then either deleted or deactivated his Twitter profile as I was unable to access it, and I was unable to find any information regarding him anywhere online. All I had was this screenshot that a Twitter user by the name of Pastime Paradox was able to take of his Twitter page that he posted. It was when I couldn't find any information on this game that the investigator in me began to surface and I began to look much deeper into this game. When I say I couldn't find anything, I mean nowhere. Not even on popular unreleased and prototype sites such as the archived Assembler Games forums, Unseen64, or even SNES Central, which is where I saw the first retweet of the game to begin with. So utilizing the screenshot taken by the beautiful Twitter user Pastime Paradox, I was able to see the poster's Twitter handle, @Oyaman. Now after doing a few reverse name searches of that handle, I came up with nothing at all. So then I thought, let me try my luck with the Wayback Machine. And since I knew his Twitter handle, I simply wrote out the full Twitter address with a backslash and included his Twitter handle. And wouldn't you know it, I got a hit. Thankfully, Wayback Machine saved 2 screenshots of his username, one in November of 2020 and another one in August of 2014. However, for whatever reason, I couldn't access the August 2014 screenshot. So I clicked on the most recent save and I finally found him, Oyaman. It even matched the screenshot taken by Pastime Paradox, so I knew this was the guy, the user that posted that unreleased Zorro video game video. So let's dive a little deeper into this. Now even though I can't read or speak Japanese, I inputted a lot of his text in a translator and was able to find out he was in fact an IREM Corporation employee, or at least was associated with IREM. He's been in the video game industry for quite some time, and his Twitter bio stated his involvement in games such as Image Fight 2 and Chromebound. And then I quickly realized that his Twitter page banner image is a screenshot of this unreleased Zorro game. And as I was scrolling through his page, he did post a lot of retro arcade content, but unfortunately I couldn't find anything else on the Zorro game. And the Wayback Machine could only take me as far back as November 7th of 2020. That is until I noticed he had a link to a website in his Twitter bio, which unfortunately did not lead to anything as it was a Wayback Machine link, and it didn't allow you to copy and paste. However, I hovered over the link with my mouse, and it showed me the complete URL over the cursor. So I manually inputted the address into Google, and to my surprise, it returned two addresses. The main one being a profile link to Moby Games with this guy's name and the games he's been involved with. So it turns out this user's name was Yoshinobu Oyaman of Tokyo, Japan. It even had a picture of him circa 2019, and stated he was involved with Chromehounds and Image Fight 2, as well as other games that matched up with the facts that he had on his Twitter bio. So this has to be the guy. Now what I also learned is that he used to be a planner at IREM Corporations in 1991, and left IREM in 1994. He also held a pretty high position at Sony as well. Now there are some other public pages that were listed on Moby Games, but I won't go into that as it seems pretty personal. But then again, why would he have them posted on Moby Games if he didn't want people to see them to begin with? Now I researched all this to say that this guy seems to be a legitimate source. This guy's credentials seem to line up accordingly with the content he posted, and it apparently dates back to June 2007, as that's when he joined Twitter. But okay, now that I've got that out of the way, let's talk about the actual game. The video starts off with the game's title, as well as a production date of 1994, and the development team listed, IREM Corporation. Now really quickly, IREM Corporation is a Japanese-based video game developer founded in 1974, and is responsible for games such as the R-Type series, Metal Storm, and Spelunker to name a few. Now the game then starts with the player taking control of Zorro himself. Now right off the bat, this game gives me Aladdin and the Adventure of Batman and Robin vibes for the SNES. I don't know why, maybe it's the art style, it just seems similar even though those games were Capcom and Konami respectively. But anyways, from what I see, the game seems to be in pretty complete state. The level seems very well made. Zorro's movement and interaction seems to be intact. Zorro appears to use his signature rapier for melee attacks, but also carries a grappling hook, not only to attack, but also to climb up ledges. He also has the ability to perform ground slides, as well as what appears to be a power lunge of sorts, which can be performed in the air and the ground as well. The level designs are very interesting based on what appears to be an older western time, with civilians in the background, interactable items that can be used to attack enemies, and even guys playing guitars. The only glitches that I can observe are the grappling mechanic seems to be a bit bugged and difficult to use, as well as the climbing mechanic seems to show a bug when the player climbs up to a surface, the player's sprite gets placed in front of the background, making it look very weird. After the first stage, the player goes against the boss wielding a huge scimitar. Now after that, the second level offers different scenery and puts the player in an uphill climb on a mountain. The grappling hook seems to play a big role in this level, but it's pretty straightforward. Now the third level has the player in a cave riding a minecart, and unfortunately the video ends mid-level and nothing more is shown. Now comes the question, where did this game come from? Or was it at least based off of something, as many licensed games were in the 90s? And I came up with my own theories and answers, since I was unable to find anything about this game. Now just please remember that these are my opinions, as once again, nothing about this game has come to light. Now I came up with two possibilities, the first being the most likely in my opinion. So first, taking a look at the title screen of the game, it looks very similar to the promotional art for the animated series, The New Adventures of Zorro, which aired on Kids WB. Now even the art style appears to be very similar to that of the game. However, this theory has its discrepancies, the main one being in the title itself. It clearly states a production date of 1994, whereas the Kids WB Zorro cartoon didn't air until about 1997 and lasted until 1998, roughly 3 years after the game was developed. So either IREM Corporation had a 3-year head start on the series, or they had a really long time to make the animated series. Now my second theory comes from the Legend of Zorro anime, which began its original run in 1994, coinciding with the 1994 date of the game. And given that IREM Corporation was a Japanese-based developer, perhaps the anime series seems a bit more appropriate to assume. The only discrepancy there is the art style is just too different, but who knows. Now there are 2 other small theories that I have. I guess the third being that the game could just be based off of the Zorro comic of the time, or maybe the Legend of Zorro live action series. But me personally, I lean more towards my first theory as it seems more realistic. And then of course there's the question as to why this game was cancelled, to which I have my own theories for that as well. My theory for that is IREM Corporation themselves cancelled it. Now it's reported that in 1994, IREM Corporation left the video game development industry to focus on coin-op arcades, which is how the company began its business to begin with. And of course with IREM leaving the development business, all their projects got canned as well, which unfortunately included the Zorro game. Or it could also be due to the fact that IREM's Zorro game was in development too far into the Super Nintendo's life cycle. I mean, the Nintendo 64 was already in talks, and it's unclear when the Zorro game was actually going to be released. Now, all of this was a mystery to me, until very recently as I was editing and recording this video. I was able to finally find and make contact with the man himself responsible for this unreleased Zorro game, Yoshinobu Oyama. Now once again, I do not speak Japanese, so our conversation was done through a translator. Now I started off by confirming his identity and involvement with the game, to which he confirmed that he was in fact the person behind IREM's Zorro game. Oyama began by stating that IREM obtained the development rights to use the license of TriStar's upcoming film, The Mask of Zorro, for their game. Now this was after they got a hold of the work that IREM did for the game Hook, released in arcades back in 1992, which is a very fun and impressive game by the way. Now at first this didn't really make sense because The Mask of Zorro didn't release until 1998. However, after looking into it, the conceptualization of The Mask of Zorro began with Steven Spielberg in 1992, and didn't officially begin casting until around 1994, when this game began development. Now Yoshinobu-san continued by stating that he didn't get much information about the movie other than there would be an older Zorro and a younger version of Zorro, and so that was planned to be implemented in the game. IREM also decided to base the game style off of Konami's Sunset Riders, which kinda makes sense because I do see the similarities. Now based on what Yoshinobu-san was told and the Zorro comics he had read, he decided to begin developing the main character Zorro with both a sword and a whip. Yoshinobu then confirmed that the development was ultimately cancelled due to IREM Corporation disbanding in 1994, leaving this game in an unfinished state. I then asked him if there was a prototype cartridge somewhere, and he replied by sending me this picture, and stated he was in possession of a cartridge. Now this is the only known picture of this cartridge to exist online, as once again I was unable to find anything on this game. And as you can see in the picture, the chips are properly labeled after the game. I then followed up by asking if there was anyone else with a copy of the game, and he stated that a programmer from IREM had a cartridge and made Yoshinobu-san a copy of that card as well. but unfortunately, due to legal reasons, he cannot release the game to the public. He also stated that this was IREM's first action game, so they didn't really have experience with this genre of games. Now, after IREM disbanded, Yoshinobu said he started working for band Presto and made the game Super Gusun Oyoyo, another very fun puzzle game. Now, unfortunately, Yoshinobu was unable to provide any more detail to me regarding IREM's Zorro game, but at least we finally have answers to the mystery surrounding this game, for the few of us that even knew about it. Now, one last thing that I wanted to mention, and I guess to knock out an additional unreleased game, is that this game is not to be confused with yet another unreleased Zorro game for the Super Nintendo by British developer US Gold Limited, which was also set to be released around 1994 as well. Now, similar to IREM's Zorro game, this game too is shrouded in complete mystery, as there is nothing known about this game other than 2 screenshots that were taken for a French video game magazine, which I was unable to find the original source for. And from the looks of it, this game appears to have 2D vector-filled polygonal graphics similar to that of Out of This World for the Super Nintendo. Or at least that's what it appears to me. Let me know what you guys think. Now, I do wish there was more information on this game because honestly, this one looks a bit ambitious with the graphics, and that one screenshot provided which shows Zorro on his horse, that seems pretty cool. And that's really all I could find on this Zorro game, as it too was a complete mystery to most people. However, this one was at least a little more well known. And I'm kinda glad that I'm talking about it now because I couldn't imagine making a video on this game or when I would even be bringing it up in future videos. So in the end, who knows if Yoshinobu-san would end up dumping the ROM, but at least I have some answers to what otherwise was a complete mystery. And if anyone's interested as to what Yoshinobu-san is up to nowadays, well, he's actually still in the video game industry today. He actually told me he teamed up with a buddy of his from Data East and created Remote Bomber, a retro style puzzle game that's available now on Steam. So if you're interested in supporting him, go check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below. And that is what we know of IREM's Zorro for the Super Nintendo. Thank you guys for watching. Check out some of our other videos if you'd like. And if you guys want to talk about more unreleased games, feel free to join our Discord or catch us on Twitch where we stream a few times out of the week, or consider supporting us on Patreon. And I'll catch you all next time.